Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
You know what? None of the fines, they all get thrown out too, right? So, and you know what? There's a very interesting thing. The Bowmanville cops have been quite lovely. Even though they come, they have told me, we're waiting for all of you to stand up, because once you stand up, we stand up.
People, the general public, thinks that these rights are guaranteed to us, and they are guaranteed to us, but the only way they continue to be guaranteed to us is by exercising these rights and fighting for them on a daily basis in any way we legally can.
The world has become so easy, like first world countries are so easy that idiots and people that don't know a lot can really thrive. And they outnumber the rest of us. Most people don't go to the gym. So they don't realize how good it would be, how huge of an impact it would have during a pandemic.
We all got to stick together. It's not going to get any better. And to see something like that and we're not allowed to carry our own country's flag, travesty.
David Menzies for Rebel News here at Queen's Park in Toronto. Well, folks, this is a huge day of protests the world over. In fact, as I'm speaking right now, there are huge protests all over Europe going on, from Germany and the UK to Croatia and Switzerland. This is by people who are sick of the lockdowns, sick of being unemployed, sick of not being able to go to the gym, and they're voicing their opinion. Now, it's very interesting. Almost a year ago, on these very grounds, is when the so-called Yahoo Nation protests began. And folks, just check out the video. These were indeed peaceful protests, and for some reason or another, it was actually tolerated back then. Check out this footage from last spring. This is the site of another protest by Torontonians and others who want to get the economy open. Now, you may recall Premier Doug Ford, his response to these people, well, he called them a bunch of yahoos. This was Premier Ford's slur against the group that appeared here. But as we know, when it came to the new year, starting in January, the authorities took a very different view of peaceful protesters. And by the way, that's what these anti-lockdown people are. Not mostly peaceful protesters, but actually 100% peaceful protesters. Check out how our rights to assemble, for free speech, even freedom of the press, were trampled upon at Yonge Dundas Square going back to this January. They're looking for people that hold signs. They're looking for people that speak into a megaphone, because in Tyrant Tories Toronto, that is apparently against the law. So it is that Yonge Dundas Square is a no man's land. It should be the heart of the city. That's clearly not the case. So here the demonstrators have gathered on the northern lawns of Queen's Park, and it's kind of a funny vibe. Unlike several weeks ago when the demonstrations were far smaller, the police aren't exerting themselves in terms of arresting people for, such egregious crimes as displaying a sign decrying communism, flying a Canadian flag, quoting biblical passages, or simply for standing on a street corner. Talk about herd immunity. It doesn't look like the police are going to assert their authority in terms of trampling these people and their constitutional rights today. But the day is indeed young, and we'll be here for the entire demonstration to see how it goes down. So I'm with Nini, and your sign says, "Fight COVID-19 with fitness, a call to action for essential health and fitness, reopen our gyms." Well, I'll tell you, Nini, I can't agree with that sign more. It's been a long winter. I really need to get to the gym. But our premier says, don't go to the gym. Instead, go into the basement and bake cherry cheesecake.
Yes, he does. He wants us to make cheesecake and hang out at home, support McDonald's and the Tim Hortons new sandwich, open the gyms. Everyone that wants the gyms open is caring about their health. They're not selfish people that want the lockdown to end prematurely. The gyms will help the pandemic end prematurely.
Well, Holy Adamson Barbecue, Batman. We're about a half hour into the demonstration, and lo and behold, marching up Queen's Park Crescent is the mounted unit of the Toronto Police Service. There's 2 horsemen, and then there's another half dozen over there. So I don't know if this is a show of force, a sign of intimidation, but I can tell you this, nobody's going anywhere. So I guess it's up to the police how they want this to play out. Are they going to let these people exercise their constitutional rights of freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, or are they going to come in en masse and break this up? Regardless, we'll be here to chronicle all of the events. Well, I'm with Michael. He's one of the demonstrators here at the anti-lockdown protest. And Michael, I couldn't help but notice just about a football field away from us, well, there they are, the mounted unit. I'm wondering why that is. I mean, these are peaceful people. They're not trying to pull down that statue. They're rallying around it. Why is it that the police are, showing this show of force? Is this all about intimidation?
It's fear. It's all fear. This whole thing is fear, basically. The whole thing, this whole lockdown is fear-based.
This gentleman right here has balls of steel and won't do what most of you Canadians will do on a daily basis.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words. Adam, what brings you out to this demonstration, especially given that we've seen since January, Mayor Tory and law enforcement have taken a dim view of gatherings like this, and they've made so many arrests simply for displaying a sign, waving a Canadian flag. So indeed, what brings you out?
For me, as a Canadian citizen, I believe we're all guaranteed a certain set of inalienable rights and freedoms that are guaranteed to us at birth through the Constitution, through our Bill of Rights, through the Constitution of Rights and Freedoms that were given to us. And the law has no right to infringe on these personal rights and freedoms. And as a Canadian citizen, we have the right to choose what risks we want to take in our life.
We know so much now compared to a year ago when this began. We know that most of the lion's share of the deaths are elderly people in long-term care facilities. In Ontario, only 2 people under 20 have died. Both had serious medical complications. The fact is, for a lady like yourself, you're relatively young, you're healthy, you have a 6 times higher chance of dying crossing Queen's Park Crescent than you do of the Wuhan virus. So based on the data, based on the science, and that's what the politicians say they are always beholden to, why aren't the gyms open?
In the end, I don't even know what to say. In the end, it seems to me, and no offense to society and the world, but it seems to me that the world has become so easy, like first world countries are so easy that idiots and people that don't know a lot can really thrive. And they outnumber the rest of us. Most people don't go to the gym. So they don't realize how good it would be, how huge of an impact it would have during a pandemic.
You know what? I think you're right. I think the real virus isn't COVID-19. I think it's idiocy and those who follow the mandates of idiocy, especially idiocy coming out of that legislature building right there.
Oh, I agree. 100%. That's the real pandemic right there.
It seems that every press conference, Mr. Ford is saying, well, if I had my way, I'd open up the economy, but I got to listen to Dr. Williams. Well, he doesn't have to listen to him. He is numero uno. He is the man in charge. What do you make of this kind of leadership?
Honestly, they keep changing it week by week. I can't even keep up, and I stopped paying attention a long time ago. I've been living my life as normal, celebrating holidays, Christmas, birthdays, anything. I don't even recognize this guy's leadership anymore. That's how I feel.
And you know, Adam, I think you say something very profound here, because there seems to be this prevailing mindset with politicians, bureaucrats, chief medical health officers, that the Emergency Services Act or the Quarantine Act means that constitutional and charter rights are trumped. But I don't think that's the way it is.
No, it definitely doesn't work like that. And the problem is people think that the general public thinks that these rights are guaranteed to us, and they are guaranteed to us, but the only way they continue to be guaranteed to us is by exercising these rights and fighting for them on a daily basis in any way we legally can.
I can't help but notice you are waving a Canadian flag. You know, we have caught on camera people at these anti-lockdown demonstrations getting arrested for waving a Canadian flag, and yet 2 weeks ago, supporters of the Tamil Tiger terrorist organization marched at Yonge Dundas Square displaying the flag of the Tamil Tigers, and law enforcement, nothing to see here. Can you believe this is Toronto in 2021?
I cannot believe it. I'm in absolute shock about the way things have gone in this country, this province, and this city. I'm from Hamilton. I came all the way from Hamilton to all the way be out here. We all got to stick together. It's not going to get any better. And to see something like that and we're not allowed to carry our own country's flag, travesty.
And how sad that a lady like yourself, with your beautiful young daughter, you feel intimidated coming to the lawns of Queen's Park, the heart of the legislature, for fear of being arrested for what? Displaying the flag of our great Dominion? How do you make sense of that?
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Like, this is Canada. Like, this is Canada.
Yeah. Now, sir, I can't believe I'm going to ask this question, but the fact that you're waving a Canadian flag, do you fear that this makes you a target for a ticket or an arrest?
No, you got to live with courage. Rise above the fear. That's it.
Well, folks, I think what we're witnessing right now is a slice of propaganda in the making. The mounted unit has moved to one of the entrances of the legislature at Queen's Park. It's as though they're putting up a front to prevent, an insurrection from occurring. But like I said, these protests, these anti-lockdown protests, have always been peaceful. You're not going to see anyone storm the legislature. You're not going to see, unlike the Black Lives Matter protesters, people trying to tear down the statue of Sir John A. Macdonald that now remains boarded up with a garbage bag over his head. So I think this is just really for PR purposes. Actually, as I said earlier, worse than PR, propaganda. It's look how we are protecting the legislature from the yahoos. How pathetic. When this pandemic is finally over, well, I consider it to be over right now. Yeah, but I wonder what the obesity rates are going to be like. I wonder what the diabetes rates are going to be like. When you prevent people from working out, enjoying physical fitness, this is a recipe for disaster. I remember going back to the 1970s, the old participation ads. The average 30-year-old Canadian is as fit as the average 60-year-old Swede. It was the government saying, get out there, break a sweat. Now they're saying, sit home and vegetate. Can you make sense of this?
Sit home, stay at home. Food delivery is essential. Fast food is essential. Cigarettes and alcohol is essential. But socializing isn't. Anything that would be actually good for your health is not essential. I'm over it. It's very hypocritical. Get it together. The gyms are clearly good for your health.
Well, folks, I'm with Jess. You might remember Jess. She's one of those brave ladies that opened a spa. Gracious, illegally. Jess, first of all, how is business?
Business is booming because of you guys.
Wow.
Yeah, so we, ever since Rebel, we get everybody like this coming into the shop. So if you come in at any given time, there's just people without a mask, and the energy's amazing because we have light workers, we've got beautiful people, but then we got police every day.
Wow, and what are the police doing every day?
They're finding me.
And I believe you're one of our Fight the Fines candidates, aren't you?
I am, yeah. So I Fight the Fines. This is my third Fight the Fine. And then I started with you guys with the I Will Stay Open. And then, they just keep coming every day and finding me.
Well, you know what? Just thank those police. Say thank you for the free wallpaper.
Adam and I were talking yesterday saying we're going to take our collection of fines and turn it into abstract artwork. So
well, I guess the good news is they haven't sent the mounted unit to your salon, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? Seriously though, you've touched upon something very important. We just spoke a while back to Derek Noble of Noble Toys.
Yep.
Business has never been better. Sure, he's lost some COVID Karen customers, but the replacement has been in greater numbers than the loss. So isn't this a tale, a story to all those retailers who are thinking of opening but are in fear to open up?
Yeah. You know what? The people that leave are the people that we don't want there anyway. The people that are unfollowing me because of my opinion on this, those who unfollow aren't coming out anyway because they're so afraid of COVID. So when you open your business saying that we're not afraid, we're going to stay open, we welcome people who don't mask, you will be so overwhelmed overwhelmed with the amount of people that will come.
I think you're right, and on the flip side too, Jess, if hundreds, if thousands of businesses opened overnight, what are they going to throw everybody in jail?
And you know what? None of the fines, they all get thrown out too, right? So, and you know what? There's a very interesting thing. The Bowmanville cops have been quite lovely. Even though they come, they have told me, we're waiting for all of you to stand up, because once you stand up, we stand up. So they're waiting for it. They want it so bad. The Bowmanville cops, even though they come, they're coming as peace workers, because the health board who's like giving me the fine, they're afraid of me, so they're bringing the cops to stand there and keep the peace.
Well, Jess, I'm going to tell you, in the days ahead, I'm going to make an appointment at your salon.
Yeah,
I need a pedicure. I've got toenails right now that would scare a tree sloth, okay? So I really need your tender, loving care. Will you take me on as a customer?
I will take you on.
Okay, then. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jess.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, folks, as you saw in John Tory's Toronto in 2021, go for a walk in the park, get thrown in a paddy wagon. If you have had your charter rights trampled on in the name of the Wuhan virus, please reach out to us at fightthefines.com. That's fightthefines.com. Let us know about your case. If we think it has merit, we'll get you in touch with a top-notch criminal lawyer, and we shall crowdfund your legal fees.